Hello, my name is Aiden Mills, and I'm here to present the switch platform mechanic that I've added to our project. Now let's go into the introduction area for my for the mechanic. So right here, you notice that there's a button, and the player is prompted with pressing the E key on their keyboard, which only shows up when the player is in range to actually interact with the button. And we have two platforms here, one blue and one orange. As you notice, if I jump into the blue one, I phase right through it. However, if I were to dash up here to the orange one, I can stand on it like it's a regular platform. When I press this button, not only is there a sound that plays, but also you notice that the blue one got darker and the orange one got lighter. So now you notice when I'm on the blue one, I can stand on it like it's a platform, but when I go on the orange one, I go right through it. This is the main implication of the switch blocks or switch platforms. And they line up with my design pillars by giving the player more platforming challenges and also allowing them to explore new areas when activating certain platforms. So for example, there's not one here, but say there would be like a platform right here that would be blocked off when it was active, and I can't access that area because I'd be blocked off. If I were to choose to turn this on, it'll allow me to explore more areas over here. And having certain platforms on and which ones off can also introduce new platforming challenges as well, which will be shown off later in the mastery section of this. So let's go over to the practice, which we see a bit more switch platforms here, and also there's a little bit of puzzle solving as well in this part of the practice level. And the main challenge that's presented to the player is really choosing when to have the blue ones on, which ones to have the orange ones on, and whenever to have them on and off. So right here, I can't really go through here because it's active. If I try to go back over to this one behind the blue, I turn it on, I can go through the orange now. However, the blue's blocking me from going there, so I gotta think about it. I notice one that's up there. Go up here, turn this on or off, whichever you see it, and now I can walk through it. So it's really kind of a mix between having platformer challenges and also a little bit of puzzle solving for the player to kind of sit down and figure out themselves. If they ever fail any challenges involving these platforms, they always have the chance to come back again and try another method, really sit down and think about what they did. And when they succeed, they have that experience of actually getting through the challenge, and they can apply that to any future challenges that come across that uses these switch platforms. So now moving on to the mastery section. This one presents not only a little bit of puzzle solving, but also a bit of platforming challenges as well. So as you can see, there are plenty of switch platforms here. It might be a little confusing at first, but if you were to sit down and take it all in, what you have to do is pretty simple, but the execution may be a little tough. So it might take me a few tries to get through this, honestly. But as you see, you have to activate it as you're jumping. And you gotta make sure you don't slip there. It's a very precise jump. And here we go. Now here's the puzzle solving thing, right? You would think you have to press E to go here, right? But you get on the platform. However, you can't actually get to the exit over here. So what you have to do is actually keep those off and dash through here up here.
Hi, my name is Derek Weininger. I'm part of Team Phantoms, showcasing my traversal door mechanic. My mechanic's fairly simple. It is a traversal door that once you overlap with a collision box, it teleports you to another location on the map. These are two separate blueprints. There's a little, within the blueprint, there's a little location indicator that I can move so I can teleport the player really anywhere I want on the map. The reason I wanted to add this mechanic was because we have a 2D adventure game or exploration game that I wanted to add another direction in which the player can travel. So later on, once these doors will be able to travel to other rooms as well, giving the player that extra depth of exploration. So this first is my introduction to the traversal door, you're introduced to a puzzle that is almost impossible. Yeah, see, I actually did it. Almost impossible to traverse puzzle that encourages the player to maybe look for another avenue around. Can't believe I made it in the second attempt. That's crazy. But anyway, it encourages the player to look around. There's a door up here, which will teleport them to this location, indicating to the player that, hey, these doors are used to teleport or to work your way around puzzles or potentially other hazards. The doors are supposed to have a interact event. I'll explain this in this level. They're supposed to not be on overlap. It's supposed to have an interact event, but the interact was bugging out for me and not working, so I just had it happen on overlap. But that's something that I'm going to fix, giving players more agency on when to activate doors and giving a more smoother, streamlined experience. So the next practice map is a door puzzle. So you're stuck in a room with a bunch of doors. This door will take you back to the start of the level, and keeps doing it, showcasing again that these doors aren't linked together, and you can dictate where the player goes. And then this door will take you to this empty door here. And these empty doors have a different look to them to indicate that you can't traverse through them. They're one-way doors, basically. They're exit holes, cosmetically. If I go through this door, it'll take me back to the very beginning again. Just showing off how the doors work and the little puzzle. So you're trying to find the right door, and then you finally find the right door, and you can beat the level. Right? It's adding a little bit more complexity to it, just having the player really figure out how these doors work. And then in the mastery level, we put it all together, and you see a giant room where you try to jump across but can't make it. You probably can make it, honestly. But, and you have two doors. One of the empty doors, the visually empty ones that are one way, and one of the wooden ones. And, after performing the last two puzzles, the player can infer that, hey, if I overlap this door, I can complete the puzzle, right? So that goes into the iteration of variation and stuff, like the players learning how these doors function, learning how to interact with them, and the final level gives that reward and punishment, where if you successfully do the jump and interact with the doors, you can make it across, where if you fail, you get that, 8 death, increased death counter. Yeah, that's my mechanic. I appreciate you guys for watching.
Hi, my name is Lane, and this is the demonstration for the rope swing mechanic. As we start out here, we are in the introductory phase of introducing this mechanic to the player. The room's pretty empty, no hazards can be found. We do have a ledge right up here that is the player goal that cannot be accessed through normal means. Player right up here, as they can see, will have a long rope thing in order to progress. There we go. The rope is pretty simple. All the player will need to do is just jump into the rope, and they will be able to attach themselves to the rope. Once that happens, we enable input for the rope itself. So now when the player is moving, say they use the up and down or the W and S keys as I have them configured here, they'll move up and down on the rope. And if they choose to hit those left and right keys, they'll be able to swing left and right on the rope. And then all they'll need to do to dismount is just press space, and then it'll automatically dismount them from the rope. Here we have our practice round. As you can see, we've thrown some hazards in there, and this connects to our design pillars and everything through platforming and collection. As you can see, I need to utilize the rope in order to get to the fragment piece right there on the other ledge. If I fail, then of course I'm going to fall into the spikes and then have to restart. So utilizing a everything I have here, whether that be through my player controller or the rope itself, we're able to collect that fragment piece, get past the ordeal, and progress. Right here we have an example of a mastery. The player is going to have to utilize the rope in order to get the fragment piece basically mid-swing, and then they're going to have to utilize the rope in order to climb to higher places they can't normally access. There we are. There we go. Can't normally access that upper part, so we'll have to utilize the rope in order to climb. There we go. And once again, we'll utilize the rope to climb up. Then all that is left to do is complete the level. Thank you very much.